All right, everyone, this is lesson 2.3, biconditionals and definitions. Now just want you to write the inverse, the converse, and the contrapositive of the following statement. If it is sunny outside, then we will go to the ball game. All right, feel free to pause the video, do it on your own, resume the video when you're ready. The inverse of the statement would be, if it is not sunny out, then we will not go to the ball game. Okay, remember the inverse, you're going to negate. Converse, we're going to flip. Contrapositive, we are going to flip and negate. Converse would be, if we go to the ball game, then it is sunny outside. Contrapositive would be, if we do not go to the ball game, then it is not sunny outside. Okay, just a little recap from the previous few lessons. And we're going to move on to now biconditional statements. A biconditional statement is a true statement that combines the original and its converse. Okay, very important. All right. Both statements need to be true, the converse and the original. Okay. So an example of that would be, a point is a midpoint if and only if it divides a segment into two congruent parts. All right, that's the definition of midpoint, which we've learned already, and we know that this statement is true. Key phrase in here, which makes it a biconditional term, is if and only if. So the way that's written is P with your two arrows to Q, which is read as P if and only if Q. Okay, that is your hint if it is a biconditional statement. So, writing a biconditional statement, what is the converse of the following true conditional? If the converse is also true, rewrite the statement as a biconditional. So here's the original definition. If the sum of the measures of two angles is 180, then the two angles are supplementary. Okay, if the sum is 180, the two angles are supplementary, that is true, okay? We need to figure out if the converse is true. So, if two angles are supplementary, then the sum of the measures of the two angles is 180 degrees. And we know that this is true, which means that we now have to write this conditional statement as a biconditional statement. And we're going to use that term if and only if. Two angles are supplementary if and only if the sum of the measures of the two angles is 180 degrees. Okay, remember, if and only if is how you know that it is a biconditional statement. Identifying the conditionals in a biconditional statement. What are the two conditional statements that form this biconditional? A ray is an angle bisector if and only if it divides an angle into two congruent angles. So let P and Q represent the following. Well, P is going to be a ray is an angle bisector. That's the first portion of this biconditional statement. Q is going to be a ray divides an angle into two congruent angles, because that is the second portion of the biconditional statement. So if I'm going to write if P then Q as a traditional conditional, if a ray is an angle bisector, then it divides an angle into two congruent parts. Okay, so here's your conditional. Here's your converse. If a ray divides an angle into two congruent angles, then it is an angle bisector. There's your converse. Okay, so we took our biconditional and broke it down into a conditional and a converse. Okay, definition. A quadrilateral is a polygon with four sides. So we're going to take this definition, turn it into a conditional, a converse, and a biconditional. The conditional would be if a figure is a quadrilateral, then it has 4 sides. The converse would be if a figure has 4 sides, then it is a quadrilateral. Biconditional would be a figure is a quadrilateral if and only if it has 4 sides. Okay. Next part, is the definition of a straight angle reversible? If yes, write it as a biconditional. So a straight angle is an angle that measures 180 degrees. Okay, we know that straight angles mean 180. So this statement is true, which means we have to write it as a biconditional. An angle is a straight angle if and only if it measures 180 degrees. Okay, so we use our biconditional phrasing, if and only if. So an angle is a straight angle if and only if it measures 180 degrees. All right, identifying good definitions. Which of the following is a good definition? A fish is an animal that swims. Well, that's not a good definition because many different types of animals swim, not just fish. So we know it's not A. Giraffes are animals with very long necks. Well, we know giraffes aren't the only animals with long necks, and long is a relative term. There's no actual length to it. So not a good definition. Rectangles have 4 corners. Well, not just rectangles have 4 corners, squares have 4 corners, rhombuses have 4 corners. So this is not a good definition either. A penny is a coin that is worth 1 cent. This is a good definition. Okay, it's descriptive, it gives you a value. Okay, cannot be mistaken. Is the following statement a good definition? A square is a figure with 4 right angles. Well, the answer is no here, and that's because rectangles also have 4 right angles. Okay. How can you rewrite the statement obtuse angles have greater measure than acute angles? Well, you know that right angles and straight angles are also greater than acute. So how are we going to change this definition? Well, we need to be a little more descriptive. Obtuse angles have a greater measure than 90 degrees. Okay, your last part for your exit slip, write the following as a biconditional statement. Remember, you're going to use if and only if within your statement. Okay, so we're going to need that phrasing on each of these. All right, try those 2 on your own. Don't forget to submit your work. Thanks for watching.